Hello, everyone. I'm Dana Perino, along with Kimberly, Guilfoyle, Juan Williams, Jesse Waters, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The 5. We are awaiting a decision from Attorney General Jeff Sessions on whether he will fire Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe before his retirement on Sunday. It's a decision that will be consequential for McCabe's financial future with his lifetime pension at stake. Will Sessions carry through on the recommendation of the FBI's internal investigations to fire McCabe or overrule it? The controversy is based on allegations McCabe authorized the disclosure of sensitive information to a reporter about the Clinton Foundation investigation and then lied about it. The White House says it's up to the Justice Department to make the call.
Does the president feel that the Justice Department should act by Sunday to fire Andrew McCabe?
That's a determination that we would leave up to Attorney General Sessions, but we do think that it is well documented that he has had some very troubling behavior and by most accounts a bad actor and should have some cause for concern, but that would be a determination that DOJ would have to make.
Now, Juan, I think something has gotten a little bit lost in this story as it's developed because the president has weighed in. They've weighed in from the White House about him. But this recommendation is actually coming from the FBI's Office of Personal Responsibility. So in some ways, I think you could probably expect the Attorney General to accept the recommendation. Your thoughts?
Well, so there's two schools of thought on this. One is Andy McCabe is widely liked within the FBI. Jim Comey, his former boss, said he was a stand-up guy. And what we're really talking about here is something I have a lot of familiarity with, which is leaks to reporters. So people like McCabe, it's not the case that he leaked the story, but that he was trying to, let's say, shape the story so it would be beneficial for the FBI and not make the FBI look as if it was incompetent or had done something wrong. And then when he was asked about it in terms of the investigation by the DOJ Inspector General, it's not so much that he lied as he was kind of, fudging. People describe it as not forthcoming, Dana. And so that is what has put him at risk here. And what it's at risk for is that instead of getting his pension right now, he's going to turn 50 on Sunday. He'd have to wait until he's like 57, and it would be for a smaller amount of money. But the key point, I think, is that this is not at all related to the investigation itself. It's not that he was found to have mismanaged or lied or been biased in terms of an investigation either for or against Mrs. Clinton. It's that he was leaking something apparently to the Wall Street Journal and then was not forthcoming.
Well, and that, we've talked a lot about leaks in the last couple of years, Kimberly, and how they can be damaging. And we know that people use leaks to their advantage if they try to shape a story. But one of the things that the FBI has been saying is that this is actually about other agents in the field all the way across, that you have to set an example, and just because you make it up to the 7th floor of the FBI doesn't mean you get a pass on something like this.
Well, of course, and if they make a determination of wrongdoing, then they have to, act on that. But this is well within the purview of the Attorney General to make that decision, again, not the President. So I believe that Jeff Sessions will make an honest and fair determination and will not seek to just have seek favor with the president, thinking that this is something that the president wants. So he's got to be, follow the law and uphold justice here and make that finding. And I think that he will, and he'll be confident in the decision that he makes.
Jesse, take a listen to Jonathan Turley. He said something pretty provocative about McCabe. We have that.
The real strange thing about all of this is that McCabe so far has been worried more about pensions than prison. That's not the choice that was given to Michael Flynn. Michael Flynn, if you recall, was charged with false statements, even though Comey's investigators reportedly believed that Flynn didn't intend to mislead them. That's not apparently the conclusion of the Inspector General with regard to McCabe.
So, Jesse, lying is lying.
Well, according to Juan, lying is fudging. And leaking is shaping a story. So, you can spin it however you want it. He's a liar and a leaker. And the more information we find out about Flynn, the less guilty he looks, because now a judge is reviewing the plea. And the more we know about McCabe, the more guilty he looks. I mean, look at the insurance policy conversation between the two lovebirds, Strzok and Page, the Trump-hating FBI agents. I know, but if you look at it all together, it's the lying, it's the leaking. He's cooking up an insurance policy with FBI agents in his office. We want to know more about that. And he didn't disclose in a timely fashion the donations to his wife's campaign from a Clinton-connected group. I think it's a little harsh, to be honest with you, to fire a guy the day before he collects his pension. He's been working for the federal government, for the American people, for 2 decades. I do find that harsh. At the same time, if you're going to go by the book, and this is something that's recommended, as you said, by the investigators at the Inspector General's office or whoever, the ethics.
It's called the Office of Personal Responsibility.
Right. I mean, if they're going to recommend it, I mean, they take this stuff very seriously. So Sessions has a decision to make, and we'll find out shortly.
What do you think, Greg?
I don't know. What's the game show where you can pass?
You can pass now? Is that
I'm
what
thinking
you want?
about that. This is a story about a decision about a guy at the FBI. I think, number one, I guess we should be happy that this is our A block, because that means nothing really bad happened today. There was no accident. Nobody got hurt. So the fact that we're doing this story is because there isn't anything really bad happening today. So here we are. I am interested in the Office of Personal Responsibility. If we had that here, I would no longer tweet and drink. Because it's like, imagine having that. That's, I guess in the old days,
drink.
Yeah, or drink.
Tweet or drink. Like, yeah.
But I guess in the old days, you'd call that your conscience. But now we don't. We have to have an Office of Personal Responsibility. You know what 2018 is? I've used this metaphor before, but it's because I have nothing to say about this. It's like a music festival. You know, like Coachella has 5 stages?
Yep. Yeah.
Well, 2018 has like 3 stages, right? And there's the main stage, which is the stuff, the headliner, right? That's foreign policy and the economy. And at that main stage, the band is doing pretty great. Let's say it's like Slayer, and they're just killing it. Then you have the middle stage, which is like the medium-sized act. That's all this stuff about, I don't know, staffing changes, chaos. That's at the medium stage. People aren't that interested in it. They really aren't. And then there's the small stage. That's the band you never heard of. Nobody's hanging around there. They're just like walking around. That's this.
That McCabe is on the small
McCabe is the small stage.
Maroon 5.
What?
Maroon 5.
That's Maroon 5. Thank you very much. McCabe is a Maroon 5.
Wait. I thought on Space Cadets you said there was going to be no Maroon 5.
Yes. Well, that's in space.
Oh,
unless we shoot them into space.
This story makes us want to go to space.
Exactly.
But there's another angle to the story, unless you have more to say.
Space Force.
I agree with Jesse that it is. I think it's kind of hard. It's kind of harsh to fire somebody right before their pension. It's like it's like your dad promising you a new car when you turn 16, but it's actually the family station wagon.
Well, and also we don't know what
That
he
happens a
has.
lot.
He was going to the FBI, I think yesterday or maybe even today to, I guess, make his case in front of.
He went to see the Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein.
DOG.
Yeah, no, Scott Schools was the other guy that he saw. But so we don't know what he said in his defense, and so we'll go on to another topic, which is yet another call for a second special counsel.
Oh my gosh.
Here we have some senators talking about it.
Oh my God.
And I've come away believing that it was shoddily done, that there were conflicts of interest, that there was political bias that may have resulted in giving Clinton a pass. The Steele dossier was paid for by the Democratic Party through Fusion GPS. Mr. Steele had associates in Russia that could have easily compromised him. And we believe the FISA warrant process was abused. And the reason we want a special counsel is I think crimes may have been committed.
So, Kimberly, we've had the sequencing, right? There was the run-up that there might be a call for a special counsel. We did that for a week. Then last week it was 2 House members made a call for a second special counsel, and now the senators have come forward with a letter and interviews, like sequencing it so that we build up to the pressure of getting the Attorney General to announce a second special counsel.
Yes, the special counsel sauce is
that's almost to a boil.
It's almost on boil. It's bubbling up to the top. Yeah. So I think this looks like this is going somewhere. Again. So that's going to be amazing. Coming to an A block near you.
Yes.
hosted by the Five.
All right, you know what? We have so much other good stuff to get to. We're going to go online right now. Remember the serial illegal immigrant charged with murdering Kate Steinle in California? Well, he's now saying new charges brought against him are politically motivated. We'll talk about that next.
Born to be great. We're all looking for the
The illegal immigrant who became the center of the sanctuary city debate has just reemerged with a complaint, this time against the federal government. Jose Inez Garcia Zarate was acquitted last year of murdering Kate Steinle in San Francisco, the jury concluding that he shot her accidentally. It was a stunning verdict to some. Now Zarate's attorneys are accusing the U.S. government of acting, quote, with vindictive prosecution, end quote, after getting hit with a second set of charges. They are arguing, quote, this case was highly publicized both locally and nationally almost immediately after the death of Ms. Steinle. Then presidential candidate Donald Trump began to use Mr. Garcia Zarate as the symbol of the dangers illegal immigrants constitute and the need for a wall between the United States and Mexico, end quote. What do you make of this, Kimberly?
Yeah, I know the attorney who's bringing this forward, J. Tony Serra, from being a prosecutor in San Francisco, having cases there against him. He's a very principled guy. He's really a true believer beyond. So this is his jam. He likes to do cases like this. He's like, yes. So I'm not surprised that he's bringing it. This is the type of stuff that he likes to take on that's novel. He's using like vindictive prosecution and trying to bring in President Trump. There's been a lot of that lately, where they try and bring in the president and say, oh, the president has, polluted this atmosphere and the environment, made it unfair to get a fair trial because of the comments that he has made or his activity on Twitter, etc. So they use the power of the president's rhetorical, persuasion as an argument to say that it has deprived somebody of, a fair trial, or in this case, saying there's vindictive prosecution going forward. I don't think that it will prevail, but thank you for the question.
You're welcome, Your Honor. Jesse, what do you make of it?
I mean, Kimberly's probably right. He's an excellent attorney, and he got this guy off, which I thought it was a slam dunk case. The prosecution did a terrible job. They overcharged. They should have gone with the manslaughter instead of the murder one. But it's a showboat type of deal. I mean, this is a Hail Mary. It's not going to work. Remember when they held the press conference after the acquittal and they started blaming President Trump and started to nationalize the story? This is just a local story. The guy should have been locked up. And now, call it vindictive or not, he broke federal law. You cannot be in the possession of a firearm if you're an illegal immigrant. That's a 10-year mandatory. That's what they're trying to hit him with. And good. I hope he's punished. He deserves to be punished. The guy was, I think it was a meth head. He'd been across the border 5 to 6 times, convicted of multiple felonies. And whether it was an accidental shooting or was a purposeful shooting, he cost Kate Steinle her life, and he should pay the price for it. And it's just sad to see the whole thing trivialized in the court like that.
So, Dana, the point that I thought would interest you is that the lawyers are, in fact, citing President Trump's comments during the campaign and his tweets as the basis for saying that the president is the one who nationalized this case and made Zarate into a subject of derision.
I would also say, he wasn't the first to politicize and to nationalize it. I mean, there was a lot of publicity about this case, and we know where that all started, and for good reason, because it was outrageous that she lost her life and that the family is going to have to spend their life missing her and being so heartbroken about it. So, he was acquitted the first time. In some ways, I feel like they should just be thankful for that. And I guess we'll see what happens in this next case. They've tried to use President Trump's tweets before, like in the travel ban case, and it wasn't successful because they said it wasn't material to the thing. So I don't know what will happen in this case. I doubt it will be something you can specifically pin on President Trump because everyone was talking about it, and it didn't start with Trump.
So what do you predict, Greg?
I'm not in the business of predicting, Juan. Only in pontificating. And I will say, if this was a political prop or a ploy, so what? That's been the liberal strategy with every crisis. Never let a scandal or crisis go to waste. They always know when to find a poster boy and run with it. And this guy was a symbol of what Donald Trump was talking about, which is that a system that does not follow the law allows for the pain and suffering of lawful citizens. And, it illustrated it to such a degree that I think it helped elect him. I really think this helped elect him. But the bigger point is there are 4 things that have happened in the last couple of years that kind of all have something in common. There's this case, there's Parkland, there was a killing in Boston where a madman had stabbed a woman to death in a library. That was a couple of weeks ago. There was a teenager that just murdered his friend at a slumber party after preaching to ISIS. All of these things have in common are that people knew about them beforehand. They were known as dangerous or problems by law enforcement, meaning all 4 of these horrible things, including this guy, could have been prevented if people had followed the law. If they had followed the law, this guy wouldn't have been in San Francisco, even if it was an accident and he was shooting at the ground and the bullet ricocheted. Yeah, he didn't mean to kill her, but he never would have been there if they followed the law. Donald Trump was elected because he was talking about a return to law. That's why this was such a symbol and why it worked.
You know, don't you think it was about immigration? And I mean, what President Trump did, I think, quite effectively was make him into the symbol of the idea that, boy, there are a lot of illegal immigrants who are criminals.
Well, yeah, he was
that's
an illegal immigrant who's a criminal.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I think he was trying to say writ large.
I don't think he was saying writ large. I think he was saying bad guys go, good guys stay. Yeah. That's the way I read it anyway.
Bad hombres, remember?
Yeah.
Oh, I do remember. How can I forget?
But I'm not a mind reader, Juan. I leave that to the liberals.
Okay, no. So that's up to me. Here's some mind reading. Are Democrats preparing to oust Nancy Pelosi if they take back the House in November? Should they? That's next on The Five.
Nancy Pelosi adding another gem to the list of her greatest hits.
First of all, I think the border, did you see it? How high it is and the rest of the presidency of the wall? I mean, really? In a civilized society, we'd do something like that? As obnoxious as it is? You know, that's a community there with a border running through it. Okay, we have a difference of opinion on that. But a wall that big, separating people, I mean, really? I guess maybe I've seen too many walls. Like I saw the wall in Northern Ireland years ago before the agreement, and it was strange to see. And that was like a tin fence. This is a big wall.
Last month, she proposed shorter grass would help curb illegal immigration. Now she's advocating for a shorter wall because a tall one is too uncivilized. The House Minority Leader is rejecting suggestions she's complicating her party's bid to win back Congress. But there are reports Democrats are considering ditching her in the fall. Wise idea, wise guy?
She's accepting the wall. That's the story. She realizes this is going to happen. The best thing about a wall, it's the physical embodiment of a plan of action. Right? Build a wall. The left sanctuary is not a thing. Therefore, there's nothing you can do with sanctuaries. You can say, hey, let's let everyone in, but that's not a plan. This is such a perfect symbolic contrast of parties. You know, the Republican Party is a plan. Democrats are half a plan. So step 1, let everybody in. Step 2, see step 1. But Republicans, build step 1, build a wall, then let's let people in. That's a plan. This is such a great comparison.
Oh, my gosh. All right. So what do you think of this?
Well, I think that she's a great leader for her party because she's able to do
Diplomatic.
that. Right. And she says, basically, she's going to let her members be for what's going to happen. The president is going to get security funding in the omnibus bill in next month, and it will include funding for what he will call a wall. Whatever that thing is going to be, he will call it a wall, and she knows that. She's a good vote counter, probably the best vote counter in her generation by far. And also, she's letting the Democrats take a vote so that they don't end up having to be targeted for not voting for it when it comes down to the midterms. And then she's allowing these members on her side to vote against her, to run ads against her, say she's terrible. And she stands up there and is like, I'm good, no problem. Because you know what? Because she wants to win.
Yeah.
So I admire her for her tactics and her strategy.
She always wants to win, and she's been a very fierce advocate on behalf of the party, and a formidable fundraiser. She knows how to get the cha-ching.
That's right. That's why she's so influential in her caucus, because she makes it rain and she rules with an iron fist, and people are scared. She's a very powerful woman. People don't want to cross the woman, and why are you laughing? and I mean, she's very effective. She's kept the caucus in line, and she does a good job, as you'd said. And Greg made a great point. I mean, now we've gone from no wall to half a wall. Yes. But Pelosi really wants a bridge. I mean, let's be honest. She wants them to pour over and register to vote Democrat. That's the real goal. She is so toxic, though, nationally. I think her approval is at something 19%, 15% favorability. If you look at Connor Lamb, he ran against Nancy Pelosi, and he did very well in a district that Trump won. And a lot of these competitive districts, these purple districts or the swing districts, she is not going to be invited. She's not going to be mentioned by the Democrats, and all the Republicans have to do is put a big picture of her face and do the crumbs line or do the lawnmower line or do the little wall thing. She's a gaffaholic, and she's the gift that keeps on giving. Eventually, the Democrats are going to realize that she's so toxic naturally that they're going to have to surmount some sort of insurrection, and there's going to be blood all over the place, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Oh, my gosh. That's like a horror movie. Okay. Juanito.
Well, I mean, I just, I echo so much of what Dana said. I mean, the reality is, I think they've had 3 challenges to her leadership in the 15 years that she's been the top Democrat in the House. Nobody's beaten her. Yep. And I think that's for a very real reason that Jesse pointed out. She's a great fundraiser for Democrats. So she has a lot of favors and debts in her pocket. The second thing to say is, Republicans, my goodness, wouldn't it be awful if you lost Nancy Pelosi? That would be for the Democrats. If you say, we can just pull her away. That's an easy target for the Republicans gone. But in fact, then they'd have to just demonize the next person who had that spot.
You don't do that with Trump, Juan.
No, not at all. And then the other point to be made here, and I think it's a really important one, is when you stop and think about Nancy Pelosi going forward, and you heard Jesse say, she's so unpopular. It's just terrible. He'll never help her and help the Democrats in any swing district. What's Paul Ryan's rating? It's the same. What about Mitch McConnell? Dana Perino. Does Mitch McConnell have a higher or lower approval rating than Nancy Pelosi?
No, really, all the Democrats do run ads against Paul Ryan.
Right.
I do, but don't put it past her to do something very interesting. I think it's possible. I'm not making a prediction. I'm just saying it is possible, and I think she would be willing to do it. Come July, if it looks like that she's really a big weight around the Democrats' ankles and they can't finish the race with her, I think that I would not be surprised if she made an announcement around July 4th recess in which she said, if we win, I will not run for speaker again. And then basically clear the way for them.
Stay in there, Nancy.
Yeah, hang in there.
We want Mitch McConnell to stay in there. Come on, Mitch.
Okay, go, you go, cheerleaders. A fast to 7 coming your way next. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Time for the fastest 7 minutes on television. 3 stories, 7 minutes. Let's go. First up, once upon a time, social media sites like Facebook were all the rage.
The Facebook is cool. That's what it's got going for it. Yeah. You don't want to ruin it with ads because ads aren't cool. Exactly. It's like you're throwing the greatest party on campus and someone saying it's got to be over by 11. That's exactly right. You don't even know what the thing is yet. That's exactly how big it can get, how far it can go. This is no time to take your chips down. $1 million isn't cool. You know what's cool? You.
$1 billion.
And now, the newest craze for millennials is apparently to cleanse themselves from social media. More than half of users between 18 and 24 revealed in a recent survey they're seeking relief from networks like Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram because it's wasting their time and makes them think negatively. Kimberly,
yep.
Do you ever take a break from social media? You probably feel better, right?
Yeah. I'm not.
She's not even on social media.
Well,
what do you mean? She's always retweeting what I say.
All right.
Who's doing that? Is that Sean or Gwinnett?
You have a shadow account.
A shadow account, yeah. No, I'm not that into it per se. I like to see some of the cute pictures. Dana's got a nice Instagram with the doggies.
I do. She does.
So I like that to support people, and they say, can you like my pictures or whatever. But, people like to feel close to you and take a look at your things like that. And Twitter and whatnot, but I could totally do without that.
What about you, Juan?
And Facebook especially.
I have no need for it in my life.
Well, it's good because there's a lot of hate out there.
We're like not 18 to 24-year-olds.
I know, that's true.
I think what's interesting here is what will happen going forward. So if I always wondered if there would be a backlash, and it might be. I thought it would be older people would walk away from it, but instead it looks like it's the younger generation. They have other things that they'll figure out ways to communicate. But it is interesting that maybe we could learn something from them, that it's okay to walk away.
Because, Greg, with these young kids, they look on it, there's all these hot vacations people are going to. Everyone looks really good, and then you feel bad that you're not out there.
Yes, there's a lot of Instagram envy going around. But you know what? There's two points to make here. It's smart if you want to have a career or a future, because Twitter and Instagram, they're the bathroom wall of planet Earth, and everything bad that you do sticks to it.
Permanent ink.
It's permanent ink. It's there forever. So if you want to get a job and then the guy finds out that what you were doing at that wherever without your clothes on, it's over. But the question is, what are you going to replace it with? We're saying, oh, this is good, but what if they replace it with something worse? Because with technology, it always speeds up, and it gets smaller, and it gets a little bit more dangerous.
Maybe they'll call you, Greg.
Talking about?
Yes.
I think a phone call will work.
Yes. What's a phone?
We'll work on that.
All right, next up, 3 words, Gym Tan Laundry, GTL. Hit it.
We're back.
We're going harder than we've ever gone before.
United States versus situation.
Dude, prison's no joke. It's scary. He's literally not going to survive.
Yeah. Let the fist pumping begin. GTL.
Oh, stuff right there. It's coming back. The trailer for the Jersey Shore family vacation just dropped, and it looks like we're in for another hot mess. Lots changed in the past 10 years. Half the group's married with kids, and the situation may actually be headed to prison. All right. I think my hair kind of looks like Vinny. What do you think?
You are very, very close to their target demo, Jesse. I have to tell you. I mean, you could walk. You should do a cameo. By the way, I don't need to see these people ever again in my life. I mean, and who watches MTV? People under house arrest or kids with no hobbies? Because I'm telling you,
Manafort's watching.
Perhaps, but
all I share a cell.
How can you? This is something. File this under something you don't need.
Have you ever seen an episode of the Jersey Shore?
I have not, and
And you live on the Jersey Shore.
Yeah, this is not Bayhead.
Oh, snob. I love that place.
It's very
beautiful.
quiet and peaceful.
That's right. It's a family spot.
What's the address?
Well, I want to pick up on Greg's comment to you.
Yes.
Explain the attraction of watching people at their lowest act in a way that is so unappealing.
Well, that's why we watch you on the 5.
No, that was a low blow. But I'm saying seriously, Jesse, why do you watch that?
Are you saying that I'm a fan?
I don't know, but I'm saying, in fact, I think. Oh, you are a fan.
I've seen a few episodes.
Well, there you go.
Like season 1 through 4.
But you don't know. But you're not going to tell me why you keep watching.
It's my guilty pleasure. I have a lot of them. Kimberly.
Yeah, I have no bid for this.
Nothing?
No. I mean, like the tans, kind of, when I've had a few extreme tanning situations. But other than that, yeah, totally.
And that tan's real. Those were not
tan mom pictures. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just not into it. I like your enthusiasm for it, though, so it's a little bit infectious.
I'm just doing that for effect. All right, finally, today is St. Patrick's Day Eve. President Trump welcomed Ireland's Prime Minister to the White House ahead of the holiday.
More than 30 million Americans, over 10% of this country, think of it, trace their ancestry back to Ireland. 30 million Americans. That's why you have so many politicians. Even if they didn't like you, they'd say that. Too many, right? But they do love the Irish.
Shamrock shake.
Yeah.
Kimberly, happy St. Patrick's Day Eve.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. Yes, yes, yes.
Are you going to have one of these shamrock shakes?
Yeah, but I've been already drinking it. It's quite delicious, but also sweet.
Cheers. Here we go.
Boom.
I'm going with the shamrock
Y'all
cookie.
never do these. Why?
I think this is, what are they, soda bread?
Like Irish soda bread. Yes.
Juan, how are you celebrating your Irish roots?
I guess I could, but I don't. I wear green, but I see that one of the things people do is food, and so I'm impressed that Kimberly has been able to get us green colored food. The only thing I've seen like this is the river in Chicago. You know when they turn the river green?
Yeah, that's right.
But do you know where the biggest parade is for the St. Patrick's Day? Not in Dublin.
It's here.
Yeah, New
It's
York
here.
City.
And then Greg will be marching tomorrow.
As you know, I hate all parades. I'm an equal opportunity parade hater.
Even the gay pride parade?
I hate them all. I hate all parades because being a short person, parades are offensive. Unless somebody lets me up on their shoulders, I can't see it. They need to have a parade for people my height so people my height can see the parade. Okay? There you go. Right. No more parades
Greg,
until short people have parades.
On the Puerto Rican Day parade on the float with me.
Oh, I'll go on the float with you. That'd be hilarious.
Would that be hilarious?
Yeah,
that would be a sight to see. And Greg could then see.
Yes, I could finally see.
Facebook Friday when the 5 returns.
Overrated. Facebook Friday, your questions answered now. First question from John V. In honor of St. Patrick's Day, if you found a pot of gold and hit the jackpot, what would you use it for? Jesse?
I would park it offshore at the Caymans so the IRS could never find it.
Well, at least
now they know where to look.
Now they know.
It's honest. All right, Kimberly.
Pot of gold?
Yes. What would you use?
Well, if I found it, it probably belonged to someone, so I'd try to find the owner.
Oh, what a do-gooder.
Oh, God. That
True.
makes me sick to my stomach. Juan?
You know, this is interesting. There was a story in the paper yesterday about an airplane taking off, I think it was in Eastern Europe, maybe Afghanistan even. The door was open and gold and silk.
Yes.
You saw that?
Yeah.
And they had to close it off because people were just gonna, have a gold rush. So if it was a real gold rush, but I guess this is sort of imaginary. But if it happened, of course you'd want to take care of your family and stuff like that. But once you go beyond that, I'm thinking if you were the founder of Microsoft, right? And you had all this money, so he goes off and he takes on malaria.
No, I don't know, but you've lost control.
Is there anything else you want to say?
Well, I was just thinking because I thought it really is interesting. Personally, I think I would open more schools. I'd open good schools.
There you go.
You would harden soft targets?
I'd call William Devane.
Oh, that's... I was going to call William.
it.
What's in your safe?
Oh, my
No,
God.
I would love
Buy silver.
I would love to find a pot of money. My great-grandparents' original homestead in Wyoming is for sale, and I'd love to be able to buy it back.
Oh, wow. How much?
A lot.
Oh.
If I found a pot of gold, first thing the last thing you'd see is me leaving this studio. You'd never see me again. You would never see me again.
You would be so bored.
You won't even know where I am.
What would you do?
Oh, I have no idea. I'll find an island. And the things I'll do on that island, we won't even talk about. Probably just a lot of baking. So I like to bake. Wendy C. asks, is there a book idea that you would like to write but wouldn't dare do it? Kimberly?
No.
Come on.
I mean, I could write a hell of a book.
Yeah, that's
Thanks to my 751-page diary.
Do you keep a diary? Wow.
Uh-oh.
Why only 751 pages?
I'll get to 2 tonight.
All right, Dana.
I have this fantasy of writing a book called Tweets I Never Sent.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And I could collect from other people, too, so it wouldn't just be the ones I didn't, the ones that the things you're about to say, but then you pull it back and don't do it. So if you collect those guys, and then maybe we'll do a book one day.
Oh, that would be good.
That'd be cool.
All right, Jesse.
I would write the untold story of Jesse behind Fox News, and it would be probably shot down at the first meeting.
I think so. I think that's the case.
Wow.
In other
You're
words,
gonna get a mom text for
you
that.
created Fox News? Is that
No,
what
I
we're
mean
hearing?
the rise of Waters at Fox News.
Oh,
actually, you know what? Maybe I will write that.
Rising Waters.
Yeah, I like that. I like the
Rising
sound.
Waters.
I like that.
Rising
I
Waters
like
at
that.
Fox.
All right.
Wow.
Juan, is
Think
there
we
a
got
book you're aching to write but wouldn't dare write it?
Fire and Fury. How about that? Can you think? Is that an original
You're
idea?
writing that every
I could
day.
do that. I could do that.
They'll call
No.
it Fury and Fire.
Fury and Fire, and just turn it around, right? No, I don't know. I mean, there's so many things.
I got one.
That
Killing Gutfeld.
Oh no, don't
That
do
hurts
that.
me deeply. I would write a sequel to 50 Shades.
Didn't they already do that?
Yeah. Look at Dana's face.
Beaten again.
There's 4 of them.
Yes. Maybe I'll do a sequel to Gone with the Wind. That was a decent book. People don't do sequel books.
Are you stalling here? Or what's
No.
going on?
Question from Keith C. Which job in Space Force would each one of you have? Dana?
Communications. I mean, I'm not going to be the janitor.
You would be the good person that the aliens meet first. They go, oh, they're so cute and tiny.
Could I show you around?
Yes.
Could I show you around the place?
Humans are so tiny.
Welcome to orientation at Space Force.
Yeah. Anyway, I would like to, I'm going to call myself because the wheels are falling off the bus here. I would like to be Space Force Commander.
Yes.
Yeah, because I got my Space Force jumpsuit on today. And I think it'd be perfect.
You'd be a great captain.
Juan? I mean, I really would.
Yeah, I think
I don't need any
wouldn't
sleep,
get in your way.
and I would just be like, all right, who we got to shoot at today?
What about you,
Defend
Juan?
ourselves.
I'd be in charge of the Office of Professional Ethics and Responsibility.
Not personal, professional.
Oh, not personal.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm in charge of making sure you guys are behaving properly in outer space because things could get.
You mean there's going to be rules
wheels
up
could
there?
come up. Yeah,
I'm
rules.
not going.
Well, if Juan's in outer space, I'm staying here. That means I'm one. But if I were to be in space, something with lasers, anything with the zapping or the pulverizing or the neutralizing.
Oh, well, I'll be supervising anything.
You'll be supervising my laser discharge?
Totally.
All right.
I'm just
Tease next.
Yes, I will be. I assume it would also be commercial. I would be the ticket agent. That way, I'll never get on. I'll just be down at Space Mountain where it takes off, and I'll just be taking your stuff.
You think they have stubs?
They have stubs. They have stubs.
It's not computerized.
Yes.
Okay.
I would not want to be the janitor. Because, everything's floating.
Right.
So it's just a mess.
I mean,
Space toilets are terrible.
The kids, we can measure them
cool.
up against you if they can get on the ride or not.
Space latrine. That hurt, Kimberly.
I know.
All right, one more thing next. Overrated. Facebook Friday, your questions answered now. First question from John V. In honor of St. Patrick's Day, if you found a pot of gold and hit the jackpot, what would you use it for? Jesse?
I would park it offshore at the Caymans so the IRS could never find it.
Well, at least.
Now they know where to look.
Now they know.
It's honest. All right, Kimberly.
Pot of gold?
Yes, what would you use?
Well, if I found it, it probably belonged to someone, so I'd try to find the owner.
Oh, what a do-gooder.
God, that
True.
makes me sick to my stomach. Juan?
This is interesting. There was a story in the paper yesterday about an airplane taking off, I think it was in Eastern Europe, maybe Afghanistan even. The door was open and gold and silk.
Yes.
You saw that?
Yeah.
And they had to close it off because people were just gonna, have a gold rush. So if it was a real gold rush, but I guess this is sort of imaginary. But if it happened, of course you'd want to take care of your family and stuff like that. But once you go beyond that, I'm thinking if you were the founder of Microsoft, right? And you had all this money, so he goes off and he takes on malaria.
No, I don't know, but you've lost control.
Is there anything else you want to say?
Well, I was just thinking because I thought it really is interesting. Personally, I think I would open more schools. I'd open good schools.
There you go.
You would harden soft targets?
I'd call William Devane.
Oh, that's. I was going to call William.
it.
What's in your safe?
Oh my
No,
God.
I would love
Buy
to,
silver.
I would love to find a pot of money. My great-grandparents' original homestead in Wyoming is for sale, and I'd love to be able to buy it back.
Oh, wow. How much?
A lot.
Oh.
If I found a pot of gold, first thing the last thing you'd see is me leaving this studio. You'd never see me again. You would never see me
would
again.
be so
You won't
bored.
even know where I am.
What would you do?
Oh, I have no idea. I'll find an island. And the things I'll do on that island, we won't even talk about. Probably just a lot of baking. So I like to bake. Wendy C. asks, is there a book idea that you would like to write but wouldn't dare do it? Kimberly?
No.
Come on.
I mean, I could write a hell of a book.
Yeah, that's
Thanks to my 751-page diary.
Do you keep a diary? Wow.
Uh-oh.
Why only 751 pages?
I'll get to 2 tonight.
All right, Dana.
I have this fantasy of writing a book called Tweets I Never Sent.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And I could collect from other people, too, so it wouldn't just be the ones I didn't, the ones that the things you're about to say, but then you pull it back and don't do it. So if you collect those guys, and then maybe we'll do a book one day.
Oh, that would be good.
That'd be cool.
All right, Jesse.
I would write the untold story of Jesse behind Fox News and it would be probably shot down at the first meeting.
I think so. I think that's the case.
Wow.
In other
We're
words,
gonna get a mom text for
you
that.
created Fox News? Is that
No,
what
I
we're
mean
hearing?
the rise of Waters at Fox News.
Oh,
actually, you know what? Maybe I will write that.
Rising Waters.
Yeah, I like that. I like
Rising
the
Waters.
I like
Waters.
that.
Rising
I like
Waters at
that.
Fox.
All right.
Wow.
Juan, is
Think
there
we
a
got
book you're aching to write but wouldn't dare write it?
Fire and Fury. How about that? Can you think? Is that an original
You're
idea?
writing that every
I could do
day.
that. I could do that.
They'll call
No.
it Fury and Fire.
Fury and Fire, and just turn it around, right? No, I don't know. I mean, there's so many things.
I got one.
That
Killing Gutfeld.
Oh no, don't
That
do that.
hurts me deeply. I would write a sequel to 50 Shades.
Didn't they already do that?
Yeah. Look at Dana's face.
Beaten again.
There's like 4 of them.
Yes. Maybe I'll do a sequel to Gone with the Wind. That was a decent book. People don't do sequel books.
Are you stalling here?
No. Question from Keith C. Which job in Space Force would each one of you have? Dana?
Communications. I mean, I'm not going to be the janitor.
You would be the good person that the aliens meet first. They go, oh, they're so cute and tiny.
Could I show you around?
Yes.
Could I show you around the place?
Humans are so tiny.
Welcome to orientation at Space Force.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to call myself because the wheels are falling off the bus here. I would like to be Space Force Commander.
Yes.
Yeah, because I got my Space Force jumpsuit on today. And I think it'd be perfect.
You'd be a great captain.
Juan? I mean, I really would.
Yeah, I think
I don't
so.
need any
I wouldn't
sleep,
get in your way.
and I would just be like, all right, who we got to shoot at today?
What about you,
Defend
Juan?
ourselves.
I'd be in charge of the Office of Professional Ethics and Responsibility.
Not personal,
Not
professional.
Oh, not personal.
Professional.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm in charge of making sure you guys are behaving properly in outer space because things could get.
You mean
as
there's going to be rules
wheels
up
could
there?
come up. Yeah,
I'm
rules.
not going.
Well, if Juan's in outer space, I'm staying here. That means I'm
really?
one. But if I were to be in space, something with lasers, anything with the zapping or the pulverizing or the neutralizing.
Oh, well, I'll be supervising anything.
You'll be supervising my laser discharge?
Totally.
All right.
I'm just
Tease next.
Yes, I will be. I assume it would also be commercial. I would be the ticket agent. That way, I'll never get on. I'll just be down at Space Mountain where it takes off, and I'll just be taking your stuff.
You think they have stubs?
Yeah, they have stubs. They have stubs.
It's not computerized.
Yes.
Okay.
I would not want to be the janitor. Because everything's floating,
right?
So it's just a mess.
I mean,
Space toilets are terrible.
The kids, we can measure them
cool.
up against you if they can get on the ride or not.
Space latrine. That hurt, Kimberly.
I know.
All right, one more thing next.